A very good evening, friends. Thank you for once again connecting with 360 Digit MG and showing your faith in the initiatives that 360 Digit MG is continually taking to ensure that we provide quality services. We provide you with a lot of add-ons as part of your learning curve. So I'd like to invite you. Myself, I am Nitin Mishra. I have been associated with 360 Digit MG for close to 8 years now. I've been one of the earliest people with that. And some of you may already know me. You might have been students. And for the others, a quick 1-minute introduction. I am a mechanical engineer by qualification and was a mechanical engineer by profession for almost 17, 18 years. For the last 8 years now, I'm a data scientist and a trainer and a speaker. So I do a lot of guidance activities. I also conduct a lot of mock interviews as part of my profile. So that's briefly about me. Let's start. So today we are here to discuss about the career guidance vis-a-vis or in the perspective of, in the perspective of your resume, because ultimately anything and everything we do should translate to a good career in that particular space. All right, so we shall be looking at various facets, which will be looking at what are the things that are there. So how does one get called from recruiters? It is no longer just one method. It has going to be a multi-pronged approach. All right, you cannot, there was a time when I started my career, I used to take printouts of the resume and I used to go to companies and I would request the security guy to please give it to the HR. The security guy will say, leave it here, knowing pretty well that it may get thrown away. All right, we are not permitted to send these things. You can leave it here. I will send it to the HR is what he would promise me. But I knew better than that, so I will pursue, please, 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 and all that. And finally, he would say, okay, quickly go give it and come. I mean, treated like. So now we need to have multiple approaches. Your resume is one among them. Your LinkedIn profile is another. Your GitHub repository, your in Quora, your Kaggle rankings, and your network ranking. All right, your personal network, your Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. All these things are coming to that. Now, if you look at the relative importance, I will probably give it on a scale of most important versus not so important. I would say this is rank 1. Then this could be rank 2. This could be rank 3. This could be rank 4. This could be rank 5. And this could be rank 6. So this is the order in which, obviously, the most important aspect that motivates the person to go and look at your Kaggle, go and look at your GitHub, go and look at your LinkedIn, and eventually look at maybe Quora and Facebook is your resume. That is the first step. So therefore, it should be something like when somebody sees, it should be like, wow, there's something I need to look more, I need to study more, I need to see more about it. So that's essentially the aspect that we're going to do. Now, the traditional resumes have all changed, all right? People no longer send out a PDF document of their resume. People now send a link of their web page, right? People register. There are a lot of free websites, a lot of places where you can, host your resume for public viewing. So people simply send a link and say that this is my resume. Now, there has been a little bit of issues with that when I have discussed this, resume on the website and the link was because of security concerns. What if that link is a virus or things like that? So people have kind of stopped doing that. So the workaround has been what some of the HR companies they have mentioned. The workaround is that they now receive the resume in a PDF document, which has the link to their website. So Kaggle and GitHub link is old news. your own website, your own web page, and it is practically free. All right. So that is something that you may want to invest in. And when I say invest, you may want to put your time into it and work on it. Now, also remember, all the things that I'm mentioning here is not something that happens in an instant. It is not like today I teach you and tomorrow your resume is ready. To be able to create that multi-pronged approach, to be able to have that weight against your resume, against your LinkedIn profile takes time. I would say if you are at ground zero, if you have not done anything, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, if you have not created a GitHub repository, if you've not participated in Kaggle, then anywhere between 6 months to 1 year it may take. So that is why as soon as you join a particular, I'm assuming many of you may be, participating or maybe working on the training program that we are offering. So, pardon me. As soon as you join, start creating your network, start your LinkedIn profile. Don't get into some trivial pursuits. Don't get into political and something that is very, very personal. Don't get into these kind of activities. You may want to follow people, connect with people, send requests. You may, at the initial times of your life, you may be sending requests to, 100 people, and maybe 5 people may respond. Over a period of time, when you create that repository, when you are having that, a good quality of people there, the kind of network that you've created, which will take time, right? Nothing comes in an instant, which takes time. You will be able to attract the other people as well. Now, I'll just give you an example. I cannot reveal the name of the person. I am having on my LinkedIn, all right, on my LinkedIn network, the official ID of the CM of a particular state. Now, I will not reveal more than that. So I sent out a request, and within 24 hours, within 8 hours, I got an acceptance from the CM. All right. So it has happened because I'm able to do that network because it has taken close to 5 years before I could bring up to that level. So that is something you'll have to do. And in the meanwhile, suppose if you are in a tearing hurry, no, I need a job desperately. Let us focus on the resume part of it. Let us try to build enormous amount of it. Now, let me just also tell you about the things that what are the most common hiring channels, and these are some articles that we have gotten from various renowned sources. Okay, so almost the majority of this, the effective hiring channels is the social media, your LinkedIn, predominantly LinkedIn. Nobody hires anybody on the Facebook. So is LinkedIn, that's about 36%. And external sources, all right, some hiring, some referral, somewhere they have got the resumes and people, headhunters, so many things are there. Then, of course, there are these sourcing firms, the HR and manpower sourcing firms, that is about 18%. Referrals are 13%, and pipeline generation. Now, we may have certain organizations who will collect your resume, will not keep you informed, will tell you that, okay, this is your profile is under this thing, and it may take 6 months, even 6 months to 8 months before they may decide to, get back to you. That says we have this profile and this profile when it comes. So that is again a small percentage of people. This is what it is. So, like I said, hoping to send a resume to HR at or so and so at, and hoping that somebody is going to read through 500 resumes that they receive every day is a little difficult. So you'll have to plug it in with some kind of referral, some kind of LinkedIn profiles or something. Do understand one thing, that when a resume is received, everybody does open it. It's very rarely that they simply delete it without even looking at it, because you never know, there could be something really great, right? So as soon as they download or open the resume or look at it, and if they are impressed, it kind of stays in their mind. So Imagine if an HR person is going to get 500 resumes in a day, your resume has to be in that top level, right? Top four, top five, that the HR person is able to remember and say, okay, this is somebody I need to probably speak to. So having very detailed resumes, 6, 7 pages, is okay, is perfectly acceptable. But if the HR person decides to read only the first page of your PDF document, he or she should get the gist of everything that you're trying to explain. Your first page of your 6 page resume should be complete in itself. All right. So that is one aspect that you need to take care when you're dealing with the resumes. Then subsequently, you can have the other things as well, explaining what are the things. Now, if the person is interested in the first page, then the person may read the remaining 5 pages also if your resume is a 6 page resume. But the first page, the first instance, the first paragraph, the heading, all those things are very important. All right. So your resume gets your interview, your degree experience adds to your resume. All right. You need to use certain important keywords because many HR organizations have started using machine learning algorithms to sift through, look through the various, resumes that they receive in the repository and find out. All right. When I when they look for certain keywords. Now, whether the person is having the experience in machine learning, whether the person is having a data mining, whether the person is having, let us say, if you're applying for a position of, financial analytics, so financial analytics related activities, those words are there. So even if it is a PDF document, these kind of things are getting picked up. Now, one of the ways to have your resume picked up is simply say machine learning, machine learning, machine learning, machine learning 100 times. Maybe the resume may pick it up. Maybe the algorithm may pick it up. When the HR does open this resume, he's going to be really, really upset that this fellow is trying to fool the system. So you have to ensure that not only you use the right keywords like data mining, machine learning, regression, unstructured, working with unstructured data, things like that perfectly, all right, in the usage of that, but forming the sentences that are meaningful and relevant, all right. It should not appear that some just for the heck of it, I have worked with machine learning, data mining, regression, simply listing out all the names. It should be connected with a proper sentence. Okay, so that is one thing, and I'll just show you. Yeah, do not mention. So these are some of the do nots, don'ts. All right, these are some of the don'ts. Remember, the HR and the technical person are very, 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 very smart. All right. If you're going to work, if you're going to write some, obscure, I work with the airlines project. All right. I work with XYZ Airlines project, or I have worked with the ABC shipping company. All right. It is practically impossible for any job aspirant, a person who doesn't have job, to get hold of an airline data or to get hold of a shipping data, right? If, let us say you've done a logistics management program, how did you get this data? If you are actually done this project, you wouldn't need a job because you would be so well qualified. So please don't use, because airline data and then shipping data, all these things are kind of Kaggle kind of things. And even if you are going to make some changes here and there, it is not going to help. So don't use dummy products. Don't use academic projects unless and until you are a fresher and you're trying to say these are the things that you do. All right. Training, it is preferred that you avoid that you mention training. What gives a better spin to your resume is that you try to project it that you are a learner rather than you have been trained. You may want to mention things like you're a learner. You learned about these concepts. You learned, spend some time talking about like Googling and working about this. So mention, spent my summer vacations in acquiring knowledge on this particular topic of machine learning because I found it interesting. Things like that. That would add more weight rather than saying I spent my summer vacations in XYZ Training Institute and they taught me this and I have a certificate to show. There's a big difference which shows that you are a highly motivated self learner. Obviously, copying is not good in any kind of a scenario. And if you have actually worked on something called as a proof of concept, you must clearly mention it was a proof of concept, and you may want to do that. Now, I gave you the example of the 6-page resume, right? If you're having a 6-page resume which talks about, let us say, the last 3 pages talks about the projects that you have done, right? Each page, one project, let us say. You're going to talk in detail. So you may want to mention not just the good aspects of the project, you may also want to mention the not so good aspects, problems faced, all right, and how you solved them. You may want to talk about the bottlenecks. You may want to talk about the pitfalls. You may want to talk about how this caused a negative thing. The first model caused we wanted to build a model to improve the revenue. In fact, the revenue reduced further, which was very thing. We found that this was the problem. So if you are actually giving a detailed study there, you may want to mention the negative aspects and how you came over them. Because only if you mention something negative in your resume, it becomes believable that obviously he or she must have done this particular activity. And that is why there is a failure that is there. So how to explain the project in the interview? Now, this is, of course, the interview process. Of course, we were discussing about the resume. So whenever somebody asks you to explain about the project, let's, okay, please, can you tell me something about this project C that you have mentioned in your resume? Don't jump right in. All right. Also, do not mention exactly what is written in the resume. In my project, we had a customer that is already there. So you may even say that in this project, you may have read what is what. I'll tell you about a certain aspect, certain interesting things that we learned as part of this project, and you may go to that level. So that will give you a better view or a better leverage with them rather than simply mentioning what is what. All right. So let us not discuss too much about the interview process because let us stick to the the concept of only the resume here. All right. So I'll just quickly show you a resume. All right. This is, of course, build your LinkedIn profile, update your data science skills, get yourself endorsed by experts, keep updating your profile. All right. Build decent activities related to data science by posting comments. All right. So you should keep saying, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, and things like that. Similarly, with GitHub and Kaggle repository. All right. So this is again for preparation. So just give me a moment while I share my screen with a resume of my colleague. All right. Not a colleague, a very good friend. So let me just, there are certain things that I cannot show. So I'll just, all right. All right. So let me now show it to you. This is the resume of a person with close to 15 years of experience. Obviously, it's quite detailed. So this is the details that my friend has mentioned about various things that the person has done. Now I'll show you the second page of the resume. Yeah. So I just, hid this thing. So these are the things that, so at every stage, she has mentioned about the activities that are there, the qualification, postgraduate, professional entrepreneurship, just about everything. And the entire thing is done. All right. So this is a two-page resume, a little more detailed. We also have another resume of her. It is in the Word document. This is what it is. I have removed. Now here in the middle was the photograph. Photograph is now pretty much important. How you appear. Photograph is pretty much important. How you appear. What is how pleasing you are. Right. If you are in the habit of sporting a beard, then are you sporting it? Are you taking care of it, or just like that? You are growing your hair. I mean, people do not expect you to be clean shaven or things like that, but your appearance, whether you have trimmed your beard or if you've combed it, and if you're looking smart, and if you're looking bright, and if you're looking enthusiastic, right? There's a lot of things into that. Just for the sake, I mean, your photograph should not be how you look in the Aadhaar. All right. So the kind of efforts you put into appearing on social media, on Facebook, take an angle from this picture, something like that is expected, only the face. And then, of course, this first paragraph here, all right, should tell them the gist of your capabilities within one paragraph. This entire thing here, all right, should tell you the gist of what all you're capable of. It doesn't matter if you are a fresher or if you are 10 years of experience. You should be able to say, and please stay away from the usual thing. I am seeking for an opportunity to showcase my skills in the space of where I can able to contribute for the betterment of the company and my personal growth. This particular statement has been used excessively. Please stop using it. Please be unique. Now, I cannot give you suggestions because there are about 15, 20 people watching this session at this point of time. I cannot give you samples right this, because then ultimately what is going to happen? All those people who are watching right now will use it. So I can tell you what not to do. I can give you suggestions of how to do, but I cannot give you the answer. I said I cannot take this and put this into the place. Now here on the skills and competencies, the size of the pill, all right, the size of the pill talks about how much you know. All right. Now here you may want to IT strategy, business IT transformation. You can probably put it in a sequence, and then you can. Now here it doesn't talk about the how much skills you know. Now, for instance, if you want to mention, like for instance, I would probably the first thing I would do is people management and conflict resolution. So people management and conflict resolution. If I were to talk about it, I will probably mention that in such a big line, right? Then Python programming, I'll probably mention it in so much line, right? Maybe in so much line. I'll say Python programming skill will be so much. You can also have kind of a horizontal bar plot telling what are the things. And you can probably mention the name of the skills inside this. So you have something like this, you'll have something like this, you'll have something like this, you'll have something like this. So you yourself have rated your capabilities, how well you are, and that way, you can choose them. So communication, business understanding, um, mathematical model building, statistical analysis, statistical and quality control. There are various things. You need not always stick to the usual machine learning, data science, model building, EDA. You can go beyond that also, right? And obviously, when you mention like for instance, communication skills and conflict resolution, if I'm going to be talking, be sure that there's going to be a question. Can you give me an example of how you have resolved a conflict? So you must have at least 2 to 3 stories to talk about it. You've mentioned statistical modeling. What have you done? You should have at least two cases to talk about conflict resolution as part of your, statistical modeling as part of your study. All right. So this is another thing. And then you come down. This is a one-page resume. So on the left-hand side, we split it into two. On the left-hand side, we have the experience starting from the latest first to the oldest. Here you can probably mention about the projects done. All right. Again, ensure that it appears to be kind of a live project or a real project. All right. And most importantly, try to mention in one line your specific contribution. Telling somebody what the aviation project is all about. I'm not interested. I know the standard aviation project that is there available, the data set, and what is it for the network. And I know what it is. I don't want the candidate also to tell me what it is. I'm more interested in your specific contribution to that particular aspect. So was involved, was capable, was responsible, was committed, completed, evaluated, done, those kind of words to ensure your work in that. And of course, you can have the things, education, languages, interests, all right. Please, watching movies, listening to songs, playing cricket are very, very commonplace. All right. So if you're essentially, let us listening to music, then can you be a little more specific? Listening to songs by XYZ. All right. If you are watching movies, watching science fiction movies related to thing, that kind of gives you that you are kind of focused. You have, it's not a very generic kind of a thing, right? So that is even in the interest. And also remember, there are HR professionals who are going to question you on that. All right. If you mention photography, then be sure that the HR person may ask you, what kind of camera do you have? Then if you answer, I take photographs with my mobile phone, that's it. That's that the interview is going to go downhill from there. Is it clear? So this is essentially what the skills and the things that are there. You can work with that. And as I said, okay, please remember, excuse me, please remember, this is not something that happens in an instant, and you can get it done today. You learn about it, and tomorrow your resume is ready, and then you give it. All right, that's just not possible. And this is my colleague. I don't have the screenshot of mine, but this is my colleague. So at one instance, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so at one instance, we are able to know what is what. This is the resume, and then of course the LinkedIn profile, the Facebook profile, etc., are taken into consideration. So these are some of the essential tips. For a lot of time, this is what we are discussing today. So broadly, I like to sum it up by saying that resume building is an ongoing process. It is not something that you can do it now and expect job offers to start rolling in. The components within the resume are your Kaggle, your LinkedIn, your other things, and building them takes even more time. Your GitHub repository clearly tells which date the person has, which month the person contributed, how many times the person contributed, and what was the effectiveness or efficacy of the contribution. With the color coding, they have that. So given this background, it is not something that you can fake it off in the Kaggle. So you'll have to start building right now, give it time. In the meanwhile, keep trying, right? I'll sum it up with a statement. If you make your resume and apply for a job and you get it, good. If you make a resume and apply for a job and you don't get it, very good. It gives you an opportunity to work and improve further. So on that note, I'd like to wrap it up, and I'd like to invite my colleague to continue further. So thank you so much and wish you all the best.